Mike Baker is a former covert operations officer for the CIA. He is the president of Diligence LLC, a global intelligence security firm, and he joins me now. Mike, what do you make of the news about these Belgian attackers and their possible plot to case a nuclear facility? Is it a game changer?
Well, it's, what it is it's part and parcel of the problem that we're facing. We've got multiple cells, undoubtedly, spread throughout the EU. Particularly in France and Belgium and likely Germany. And that's what they do. They surveil for targets, and they spend their time looking at the possibility of attacking one side or another. And then they narrow that list down, and then they engage in the actual surveillance of that particular target, looking to gather all the information they need. And at a certain point when they say, yes, that's the place, then they start the logistics operation for it. And they've got to put together the personnel, the hardware. It takes time.
Mike, it's a question that I was asking Alan earlier about how well secure these locations are. I mean, and just the fact that somebody who is suspected of being a terrorist can get close to one, it puts a lot of fear in a lot of people.
Well, it certainly does, and we know because they had been video surveilling the nuclear official there in Belgium that obviously it's a key target. But they have a wide range of potential targets. And in terms of the vulnerability, well, sure, you could say the same thing about here in the United States, the power system, the grid system. You can walk right by a substation, as an example. These facilities were never designed and built with the idea of withstanding a physical terrorist attack. They were built in different times. And if I could make one point that I think is important, we're hearing an increasing drumbeat and a howl about the intelligence failure, the investigations failure of all this. And I think we need to step back a little bit and understand also that, look, yes, things could have been done better. You can always do something more efficiently in a human endeavor. But I would argue that the bigger failure here is a failure of a creaking legal system in Belgium and in other parts of the EU, along with a creaking and layered and complicated government system that for years has been built based on let's establish privacy and civil liberties concerns above all else. And the investigators, the intelligence services can only operate within the bounds that have been established for them. And it is an enormously complicated process in Belgium to get past that. So I would argue that the political and legal system in Belgium is what needs to address this problem, what needs to be changed.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. The other, I think, question, and you asked us to take a step back and look at the larger picture here, and I want to ask you the same question with regards to perhaps somebody with nefarious intentions getting close to a nuclear facility. What real damage could they do? And I don't mean to the structure, the physical structure of the facility, but to any kind of nuclear weaponry or any kind of nuclear plant in the area. Could someone significantly damage something like that?
The likelihood of significant damage and massive collateral damage as a result is not high. Look, the security procedures and protocols in place for any nuke-related facility are fairly extreme, and most of them are off the radar screen, meaning they're not visible to the public. Having said that won't deter necessarily the hostiles. But what will happen is, as an example, what we've seen in Brussels. They were doing surveillance, and what did they end up deciding? The airport and the train station. Those were attractive, soft targets.
What they always do, right?
Right, exactly.
That's right. Yeah, that's the real question. I mean, they're out there, they're casing this nuclear facility, but in the end, they go after the same targets that terrorists have been doing for many, many years now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we shouldn't be... We have to understand the nature of this threat. It's been a couple of years now. They've had at least a couple of years, I mean, the Islamic State, to move personnel back and forth from Europe to Syria and Iraq for training. And so what I'm getting at here is that we may have hit a tipping point in terms of mass, in terms of numbers of trained individuals who now are back in the EU. We're not talking about a handful in one cell. We're talking about a significant number who have the ability and who have splintered off and are now residing in communities that have been there for a long time and that we know have elements within there that are sympathetic and supportive of the Islamic State's agenda. So I'm concerned that we may have gone past a certain level of threat, and now we're in sort of this mass where it's extremely complicated for us to identify and prevent every single attack.
And a lot of people are calling that the new normal. Mike Baker, as always, sir, we thank you so much for your insight and analysis. Appreciate it.
Sure.